Gurbana Kaida is a principal of Rushmead Academy and joins us this morning. Gurbana, thank you ever so much for your time. Firstly, what do you make of the decision by Gavin Williamson?
Well, morning, Adi. Thanks for having me on the show. In terms of decision, given the amount of time, school time that students have lost last year when our current year 11s were in year 10, and this year many have been self-isolating. We've had to do fire breaks because of infections. Then a decision to cancel GCSE exams is a sensible one because there was no real credible alternative plan put forward.
Now, Gurbana, you said then about kind of like how how Rushmead Academy has been coping with this, but we know there's been so much chopping and changing. I mean, how are your teachers, how are your students bearing up?
It's been really difficult, AD, very difficult indeed. I mean, we've had so many DfE announcements, what feels like on a weekly basis. Everything from we're now going to have generous grading, we were going to tell students the topic areas, we were going to provide formula sheets, then there was reduced content, there was delayed start exams. Even this week there was talk about maybe just having the core subjects, maybe some sort of externally moderated assessments, and each and every time we're communicating that to the students to reassure them, communicating that to the parents. The staff start to put plans together, and only for me to turn around and say, oh, actually, scrap that. We've got yet another DfE announcement. And it is really hard work trying to keep up. And, what we actually want is just a plan. And I think there are some frustrations because we knew that this was going to be a strong possibility last year. I was doing a year 10 assembly to my students in March 2020 saying, we don't know exactly what's going to happen for you, but let's be prepared, let's plan, and let's make sure that we're learning all the way through the summer lockdown, and we continue to learn because you never know what's going to happen. But at least as a school, we can plan and we can think ahead. And I suppose if the government had also done something similar, we would have just felt a little bit more reassured and if they had a plan B that we could have gone to, thinking, well, we're hoping, yes, that the exams are going to go ahead, but if they don't, what is the plan B? And now we're being told there's going to be a consultation next week, which is going to last for 2 weeks. But the question is, well, why were we not consulted last summer when we realized that, the whole centre assessed grades and the algorithm and the ranking hadn't quite worked as planned? Well, actually, let's plan ahead. And I think that's where the frustrations come in, that we can all work together and we can come up with a plan, which is going to be fair on our students because they are the ones who end up getting caught up in all of this. And it's not fair on them. And I really, really do feel for my students, as do other head teachers for their students. We need a system that's going to be fair and consistent for them, which reflects their efforts that they have put in, and they should receive the grades that they absolutely deserve.
Let's talk about that. You mentioned algorithms there, and I can sense the frustration in your voice as well, Gurbana. But, I mean, when it comes to GCSEs, we heard a snippet of the Education Secretary, Gavin Williamson, telling MPs that he would trust in teachers rather than algorithms. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, when I first heard that, I was thinking, finally, there's trust in teachers. I mean, we have been assessing students for forever. That's what we do. We assess students. We know our students. We know what they are capable of, and we are able to make predictions. Head teachers and senior leaders and heads of faculties up and down the country, they look at the performance of students and look at predictions, base it on evidence, and we always quality assure our own predictions year after year after year. We constantly train each other. We support each other. We refine our systems. So for them to, say they're going to trust the teachers and drop the algorithm was great news. I really welcomed that.
And what will, I know parents are worried, parents are seeking reassurance as well. I mean, but what impact will this have on students and their academic futures?
Well, I'm hoping it won't affect the academic futures. I have been saying to my students, and I've just written a letter to them today, and I'll be recording a video for them as well, saying to them, well, actually learning is not just about GCSE exams, and we are going to continue to learn. That's the message in our TMET schools, the trust that I'm in, and Rushmead, that we continue to learn. We are here to learn. Knowledge is a wonderful thing to have. It's not just about GCSE exams, and that you are going to need this knowledge and the skills for later on, whether it's for sixth form or apprenticeships or for employment. And we want to continue so that every door remains open to them. So we're trying to continue as business as usual as much as possible, but it's difficult because I can imagine the students feeling at home, well, what's the point? And as teachers, we're having to try and reassure them that there is a point to this and we're all in it together and we're here for you. And the same with parents. But it's very, very difficult when you don't have a clear plan from the government, because you're sending out one communication only to say, well, ignore that. And 24 hours later, you're sending out another communication. And it's that lack of plan, I think, causes that frustration and uncertainty. And uncertainty then has an impact on student well-being, staff well-being, parent well-being. And we are left with the challenge of dealing with all of that. And we will manage it. Of course we will, because we, as head teachers, as leaders, and as teachers, we have shown time and time again that we will do the best we can by our students, because they are at the core of what we do. So many of us, yes, we do get frustrated, of course we do, but we want to park the politics and we want to get on by doing right by our children, because they deserve the very best.
And with this, doing the very best, knowledge is power, as you were saying there. Now, while some schools are closed, many like yours, Rushmead Academy, remain open for key worker children. How many do you have coming in at the moment?
Well, schools are not closed as that. I think sometimes that can be quite misleading. I think the vast majority of schools are actually open. They're open to our disadvantaged students, our vulnerable students, our key worker students. We've already taken on our key worker students, and it's already doubled in the space of 1 week. And I think those numbers will continue to increase. Our other schools in the trust, whether it's secondary or primary schools, they're also noticing the same thing, that, the schools are being open to, well over, a few hundred students across our trust. So schools are very much open for those children who need it the most.
And Gulbanu, very, very briefly, as we go to the 12 o'clock news, what is your message to the government? Give me a paragraph of what you'd like to say.
Well, my paragraph would be, listen to the head teachers, the educational experts, in a timely manner so that we can collectively come up with solutions before it becomes a crisis.
Gulbanu, it's great having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Gulbanu Kader there, principal of Rushmead Academy, which is part of the Mead Educational Trust, joining us on BBC Radio Leicester this afternoon. From the BBC